Welcome to the Knowledge Series. Under the course EC 407 Computer Communication, here we are going to discuss on application layer. Application layer is the fourth layer or the upper layer under the TCP/IP protocol, or we can say it is the seventh layer or the upper layer under OSI layer protocols. So in the application layer protocols, as you can see here, there are different type of applications are there: electronic mail, remote sensing or remote terminal access, worldwide web, file transfer, remote file transfer, streaming media, IO, internet telephony. That these are nothing but the application under the application layer protocols. So with respect to this application layer, the application layer protocols, it reflects as if it is a electronic mail, it is a SMTP, or that is at the send side. At the receiver side, it is a POP3. Like that, different application layer protocols are there: Telnet, HTTP, FTP, NFS, and corresponding to that, the transport protocols you can see TCP and UDP. So an application layer, it defines the how the application process has to take place between the client and the server. And there, because every systems are, and every process has its own different end systems, so that they need to communicate each other using the certain protocols, so that they can pass the message between the different systems. So application layer protocols tries to address the type of the message, the syntax used in that message, the semantics of that particular field, and the rules. And when we say a type of the message means you are requesting a message and then a response message is coming from the client side to the server if the server is requesting a message. When we talk about a syntax of a message, that means the field in the message and how that field has to be delineated. That is what we talks about the field structures. Semantic of the field means that means it talks about the meaning of that particular information, how in the form of a the field is supposed to contain. That is in the syntax it talks about a field of the message, field in the message, and another is that and how that field it should be supposed to be. That is a semantic. And rules it determines when and how the particular process need to send and how the process need to respond. Those are nothing but the semantic rules about the application layer protocols. So with respect to these applications layer protocols, we will be looking across. Even if you try to see here, application like it is doing a email, it is accessing a remote end files, it is using a worldwide web, it is and how the particular file transfer has to take place, separate protocol is there, how the remote server it need to configure. Here is a terminal access, here is this a server, how the stream media, how the your internet telephony. So all this particular protocol is working under the application layer. So here we will be addressing to certain applications one by one with respect to these protocols. So let us start with the domain name systems. As you can see this particular terms, this is basically it address the TCP/IP protocols, that how the IP address is to identify with respect to this particular domain name service. Now, domain name system protocol is basically a query based protocols from the server, and it sends a response to the response back to the application layer. Now, if you try to see here, the user one is going for a file transfer client. He is accessing a particular IP address. So if the particular IP address the user want to access, so automatically this it comes under the case of a application layer. So this file, if it has to access based on the internet address, then the first activities what it is does is that it will try to look for the host name. So it is the host name is first given query to the DNS client. The DNS client will give a query to the DNS server, and in the DNS server responds back to DNS client, and thereby the DNS client will respond to the file transfer. Thereby the user accessing for which locations or which directories in the internet, that is been accessed through the IP address, and this IP address is being queried through a query and the response based on the application layer. So it is just a mapping of the IP address through interacting with the DNS server. So here, if you as you can as you can see, the sixth step, first the user passes the host name to the file server. Just like, let us take that you want to serve you want to search a file name. Let us take that router. So that is the you will be asking that particular user's request to the file transfer, so client, and thereby the file transfer will pass these particular informations to the host name. So and this host name to the DNS client. So that is the host names from the file transfer it will look for, and that DNS client will look for the DNS server and get back the IP address. So that means this host is already registered with the DNS client, DNS server. So that's why the DNS client is getting the query response back, and the DNS respond with an IP DNS server responds with an IP address that is desired for the file transfer server, and the DNS server pass that IP address to this client, and thereby the file transfer now client will now use the IP address to access the transfer server. So that is what we try to see in the case of this one. So from a user through DNS you are accessing the IP address. Now here you have to understand that in the DNS is an internet, and DNS protocol it is used a different type of a platform, and it is based on the TCP/IP protocols. So there are three type of DNS categories. One category you can take it as a generic categories. So generic categories means you can see over here is that it defines the registered host according to the generic behavior. Now, for example, in this particular you say .com. So this is nothing but a generic domain. So the root is looking for a domain like a .com, .edu, .org, like that, .net. So this is nothing but a .gov. These are nothing but or .mil. These are nothing but the generic domains over which you are looking for the root to identify the domain space or the domain database. Another type is a country domain. So in the country domain, what we do is that in that particular format you use a countries as an abbreviations. Thereby you can able to access that country's domain. Or there is a inverse domain that try to use to map the address of the names. So that is how the domain will the domain service or the domain, it defines the registered host. So the like if you are using a .com, so that is the host over which you can able to access the information. If a particular company is the host, so it will be registering under that particular org, so automatically you will be accessing that particular domain over which that space database you can able to access. So that is known as a domain name system. So you are identifying your domain using the using a name systems, thereby you can able to access the IP address. So this is what we call it as a domain name protocol protocols, in which the query of the name of the server and the response is sent back, thereby the IP address can be mapped to the name, so that the domain can be able to access. Next is a telnet. Telnet, when you try to look for, it is a client server applications. You can see here is a client, here is a server. So and it allows the user to log into a remote machines, so that one can access the applications from a remote computers. So this is basically works under the network virtual terminals. That is how it works. And this protocol is a bidirectional protocols, and it is a 8-byte oriented communications protocols. And in this protocol you can try to see that this is a terminal driver. This is a TCP/IP protocols, where you can try to see if it is a 4-layer protocol. So this is 1, 2, 3, and this is application. So that the terminal driver is interacting with the telnet, and through the telnet through the application back to the transport layer, IP layer, and data physical layers, and back to the internet. It reaches to the other end, and thereby it accesses the application programs. So your terminal will be directly using a telnet mechanism to access the remote applications. So that is what we use it for the terminal network. So this terminal applications is being accessed by the terminals from the remote location. So from the remote itself you can able to access that application. Say for example, you want to apply for some applications related to government. So government, instead of giving that particular application to your by email, they will be hosting in their server. So in that server you have to log into their server, and based on their given username, password, and thereby you can access and you can enter the values. So that is what you can see in this particular. So when a user log into a local system is called as a login, and that is in this particular, if it is log into a local system, it is login. So on the other side, so that they can directly access the systems. So in this case, user can directly access the systems directly using the terminal driver, where the terminal drive will pass on the information to the operating system, and operating system will in turn try to interpret whatever is the combination of the character that has invoked for the desired application programs or the utility from the terminal end. So that is how it is works. The same thing it works on the remote side also, but in place of this terminal is on the other end. So here the user want the application from the remote locations. So the telnet client comes into existence, where telnet client and the server programs that works together. So here telnet client is the telnet server is there, and the character are sent from the telnet client to the telnet server using a virtual terminal NVT, that is a network virtual terminal character, and thereby using a TCP/IP stack, the telnet will able to access the remote. So this is what we try to see in the case of the telnet applications. Now we try to see the next area with respect to the application is SMTP, that is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. This protocol basically used to supports for the mail transfer message between the MTA client and the MTA server. So this is what we try to see in the case of a simple mail transfer, and this is a TCP/IP protocols that supports the electronic mail on the internet. So that is why this SMTP transfer the message from the sender, if a client is there and the server is there. Between the here is Alice want to send an email to the Bob. Alice is the sender. So first it will try to maintain the SMTP protocols, that is MTA, between the client and server, and from this mail server it will be going to the next client, and from the client again as through the internet it goes to the server, and the other end of again mail server it will do the similar configuration from the server back to the client. So this is how it will try to use SMTP protocols between the 1 and 2 terminal. In the final point where it has to access, it will go for a EMAA. So that is a message access agent. So this is a message transfer agent. So message transfer agent, here it is a message access agent, it is going to perform. So these are the command and the response. As a response you can try to see between the client and the server, between the two between them using a message transfer agent. So using a message transfer as agent, this SMTP protocol or the command and the response is used to transfer between the MTA client and server. Again the same MTA client and server also again use the SMTP SMTP protocol for the transfer of the command, and finally it will use a message access agent protocols to have a POP or IMAP protocols for in the final phase, so that it will able to transfer the mails from the one end to the another end using a mail server mechanism. Now in this when a mail server receives the mails, it acts as a SMTP server, and on the other hand, when the mail server sends a mail, it acts as a SMTP client. So that is how. So one side it is sending, it is a client, and that is receiving, it is a server. So that's how it will occurs between this one. But finally here you can try to see client server, client here server, and again here at this point, since it is a message it is being received under the message access agent, so here it acts as a server, and it is here it acts as a client. So that's why it uses IMAP protocols to access that particular informations. Now we go to the next area is the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web, this idea was first proposed by Tim Berners-Lee in the year 1989 at CERN, the European Organizations for Nuclear Research, and where this particular World Wide Web was initially activated. And World Wide Web is a distributed client server service in which client is considered as a browser that can access the service of the server. So that's how the client use a server to access the service using a server. Now how the client use that services is that nothing but service means that is distributed in the various site, and each site holds on a web pages. So each web page contains some link to the other web page also. So that's why a web page can be we can think like a simple or a complex forms. So if you try to see here, this is a client is there, this is a site 1, site 2. So the client want to assume that client want to get some informations from the certain server site. So it will request to this site, and based on that the site will respond back. Again it is requesting, respond back. If there is a next site, here it is requesting, then it will response back. So that is why A is the original document, B is the image, C is a reference file. For depending upon the site which stores the informations, based on that information is being accessed by the server accordingly. So that is what we try to see in the case of a World Wide Web. Next is file transfer protocols. Now here in the file transfer protocols, as you can see that FTP is the name itself, it is transferring the file. So this is a standard mechanisms of a TCP IP protocols for copying a file from one host to the another, that is from these local systems to the remote systems. So that is how you can able to transfer the file. So it is differ from the other like a client server applications because here the data connection uses a port. So like a port user can use a port 20 for the purpose of control connections, and port 21 for the for sending, and port 21 for the control connections. So like that it can able to create. Now here you can see a local system is there. The client side there is a three system is the user system, client system, control systems, and the data transfer process. On the server side only control process and the data transfer. So the local systems will access the server using a control connection. Once the control connection is established, then the data connections will be taking place, and you can store this information at the remote system. Let us take you are saving your file in the Google Drives from your local systems. So this is one simple example with related to that. The server has only the control and the data transfer. So the control connections is made between the control process. Data connection is based between the data transfer process. And the separation of the command and the data transfer is basically used for the TCP protocols. And this is control mechanism is very simple and easy to use for the communication, and thereby with respect to this the several files can be transferred even at the remote end terminals also. So this is a simple data communications for transferring various data files. The next is the hypertext transfer protocols. As you can see, the hypertext transfer protocol, basically this is the protocol used mainly to access a data in the World Wide Web. We have seen the World Wide Web. So for based on this World Wide Web, if you want to access the data, HTTP is being used. HTTP transfer for the stand for the hypertext transfer protocol. It's a web's main application layer protocols through although the browser we have seen in the case of a www, the browser is to access the server. So HTTP use that particular repository to transfer the informations or to access these informations from the World Wide Web. So HTTP is utilizes the TCP connections to send the request from the client to the server, and it is a synchronous protocols that works based on the non-persistent connection, and another is a persistent connections. The non-persistent connection means the client will first handshake with the server, and it will then it will do a second handshake, and from the third handshake it will send a request, and fourth it will respond back. So assume that the file is respond back. Now next is the first handshake, second handshake, third handshake. It is being used for the confirmations. Now when an image is there, first handshake, second handshake, third request, response of the image, then first handshake, second handshake, confirm, then third handshake. So thereby it will complete the connections. So this is what we try to see in the case of a non-persistence form of the access of the client to the server. So the non-persistence is a one TCP connection based on the request and response. So that is what we try to see the strategies with the image or a file transfer based on the handshaking request. In the persistence case, what you try to see in the persistent case, a first handshake, second handshake, request, then it is response back. Next, next case, it is a request, it is a response back. When it want to terminate, then first handshake, second handshake, and third handshake. With this, the server will able to get disconnected. So this is a connection phase. So first it will handshake, thereby it will continue with the request response like that. So this is the persistence connections form of a protocols. Next we go to the POP3. Now POP3 is a post office protocols, and this is also called as a POP3 protocols, and this is basically protocols used for the mail server in conjunction with the SMTP, simple mail transfer to receive and hold the mail of the host. So this POP3 is basically used for that purpose. It has a very simple and limited functionality because SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol, is to send the message with using a SMTP protocols. So in the as you can see in that, in the electronic mail we are using a simple SMTP for sending a mail, but for receiving we are using a POP3. That is what we have shown in the earlier. So POP3 will receive it. So this is a POP3 server in the remote mail server, and this is the email received at the POP. So the message is being pulled. So the username is being browsed to the server, and it is confirmed. A password is verified. It is given OK. Then the list is on the link is, or an email browsing page is is open, and the email number and its size is being routed to the client pack, and thereby email is thereby it will looking for a retrieval, email is getting. So that's how the several email keeps on popping to its page of the browser. So this is what we see in the POP, how the POP can able to receive the message. So this is based on the client and server interactions. So the based on the intended client, the workstation will dynamically access the mail drop from the server. And the next is a multi-purpose internet mail extensions. So this multi-purpose internet mail extensions, it is an extension of a SMTP protocol to transfer a multimedia. Multi-purpose is a media messages, and this is intended for the message of a that include a message with the MIME header to inform the receiving mail agents. So that is what we try to see. So the electronic mail structures for the MIME is basically a supplementary protocols, and in this particular protocol, the MIME try to interact with the say Alice to the Bob using the MIME protocols Thereby basically it tries to use the ASCII characters for data to send and deliver at the destinations or at the receiver end through the internets. So the message at the receiving end is transferred back to the original data, whatever it has been converted from in the form from the user side for transferring the data. So when we term it as it is a non-ASCII code data. So it will use a non-ASCII code data to transfer at the from the sender side, and at the deliver side also it receives that particular code. So non-ASCII character is converted into NVT ASCII character of a 7-bit, and that is how it is transferred, and it is again converted back into ASCII forms. Thereby the user at the remote end can able to access the information that has been transferred. So it is not the case with respect to that a binary file is been set. Rather it is sending a message only in the NVT ASCII, which is a 7-bit format. Now finally we will see the SNMP. This SNMP is a simple network management protocol, and it is a TCP/IP protocols for monitoring the network. SNMP basically it utilizes the program to monitor and traffic of the network. When we say monitoring the traffic, means that how the data is being routed through the server, router, bridges. So all this management is being handled by the SNMP protocols, and it collects the informations, and it tries to pools for the various agent, so that the informations can be sent to the appropriate database through a input or in the output directional mode. So here you can see the overview of the services under the SNMP. That is DNS. It is basically UDP type, and it is looking for a query in that is the out. If it is a HTTP, it is a TCP, it is a out. File transfer protocol, it is either maybe TCP or UDP, it is a output direction. Telnet, so this is a TCP and UDP, this is again a out. POP3, it is a TCP out. If it is SMTP, it is a TCP out. So like that, if you go to a remote desk, it is a TCP and UDP, it is having both in and out. So like that, different protocols we have been using with respect to the SNMP. So these are the different protocols that we have seen under the application layer protocol, and this is very important from the theoretical questions normally appears from the various application layer and the various application layer protocols. So with this we conclude here with respect to the application layer protocols. Thank you.